God. Hi, Tisha. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Where are you from?
I am from the Bronx. I currently live in Connecticut.
Oh, great. First of all, I'm glad that you're here.
I'm happy to be here.
What's your fingernails? You can see those from outer space.
What's that?
What's going on with your fingernails? I feel like the spirit world can see them.
Aren't they so cool?
I was expecting red, white, and blue because of the 4th of July.
Nope, I didn't do that this year.
Well, first of all, can you actually turn down your volume? We have a little bit of feedback going on. And right away, there's a soul that's coming through that I kept feeling passed of an overdose. Who passed the overdose?
That's the person I've been begging to come through. Like, I'm so shocked you're talking to me right now because every day I've been begging him to come through. I tell you no lie.
He's here. Was that your boyfriend? He's stepping forward because when this is why I let spirit do the work and tell me who needs to come through, because there was no denying his presence. When I looked at you, I saw his arms wrapped around you and he was saying to me, Matt, he goes, I need to apologize to her. Matt, I need to come through. He says, she is so angry with me and so upset with me because of the way that I died. Do you understand that? He says to me, and more importantly, he says that you have been living with such grief every single day, because you've been hoping that or thinking about going back and you wish that you could change the past and change what had happened. He says you wish that you could change his friends. You wish that you could change the people that were around him. He says, and more importantly, you wish that he would have listened to you because you felt like this was coming. And you know what's crazy? He tells me that you saved him once before. Is that true?
Probably.
He tells me you had a conversation with him over drugs and over the things that he was doing. And for a while, he stopped.
Yes.
So that in itself was his wake-up call. He says, but Matt, he goes, oh, I feel like I could be with you all day long here when I'm connected with him, because there's so much that's left on the table that he's showing me.
You don't understand.
Oh, I
don't mean to interrupt you. You don't understand, though. I got to tell people you are definitely real. Because every day I've sat in front of this man's picture and told him you have to come through. There's no way you can know this.
I gotta tell you something. I know a lot more than I'm telling you. I'm gonna try to fit everything in, okay? Because there's a lot that he's telling me. And what happens is that when I read for somebody, they literally start to show me bits and pieces of your life and their life. And the first thing that he's saying to me is that, Matt, he goes, I want to apologize. He says, for the way that I treated her, because he tells me that there were arguments between you and him before his departure. He says, and Matt, he goes, I got to tell you something. I should have been more of a man. He says, because when things didn't go my way, he goes, and when I used to get upset over things between me and between her, he says, I used to walk away instead of trying to fix things and make things right. He says, and Matt, I walked away from her and I walked away from her and I walked away from her. He says, and I am so lucky that she still loves me for what I put her through. Do you understand that? And do you know he's coming through right now to let you know that he loved you just the same? He says, there was only one difference, Matt. He says, I was too afraid to show my emotions. He says, I was too afraid to show her how I felt. He says, so she used to cry and we used to fight and she used to get emotional. He says, and instead of me getting emotional with her and fixing things, he goes, I used to walk away. He says, but man, he says, I made the biggest mistake of my life. Do you know that he says to me that he needs you to know today without a doubt that he loves you? Because you came here with a question in your heart, and your question is, did he love me? Did he care about me? And he says to me, I did. He says, but the other thing is that you would try to get through to him and you would talk to him and you would say all these things to him. And it was like he was emotionless at times. It's like you were talking to a brick wall. And I'm going to tell you why. Because he was doing drugs and you didn't know it. And that's what he's here to validate. He goes, Matt, I lied to her and I lied to her. I lied to her about my addictions. I lied to her about my past. And I lied to her about my pain. I pretended like nothing bothered me. He says, but I need her to know that that's the reason why my walls are up so high. But I got to tell you something else, Tisha, is that he shows me that you saw something in him that nobody else did. Because everybody, he says to me, Matt, you don't understand. He goes, she put so much on the line because people told you not to be with him. People told you not to be in a relationship with him. He was no good for you. He did this, he did that. And I also know that there was issues with the police with him because he tells me.
With what?
With the police, he's telling me.
Yes, and his father is a captain at the police department in the town over.
Because he says to me, Matt, he goes, it wasn't just to her. He goes, I embarrassed my family. He says, and I lived a reckless life, but this is what you needed today. Because he tells me that you feel like a fool. That's what he tells me. And he's going to me. And by the way, he's saying to me, bro, what the hell's with the bro?
Oh my God.
What the hell's with the bro? He keeps telling me, bro, like I'm not your bro over here. I'm just the translator. Is that what he used to say here in this?
Yes.
And I'm like, wait a minute, just speak to me. Like he's freaking me out. He says to me, he goes, Matt, he goes, please tell her one thing. He says, please tell her, he says, that she's no fool, because you keep saying like I feel foolish for like loving him, for like being so into him, for because you gave up so much of your life to have a relationship with him, and now you feel like you're racing the clock because there's so much that you want to do. You want to be in a relationship, you want to be, you want to be a mom, you want to have a family, you want to do all these things, but there's a part of your heart that's still holding on to him.
Yeah.
And he says to me, he talks about another man within your life. So there's someone who's trying to date you right now, or that's with you.
I'm going out with him tonight.
Shut the hell up.
I swear to God, I was hoping to God, I've been staring at his picture. You have to come through because I have to leave soon. I swear to God.
Show us his picture. We don't believe you. I don't believe her. Show her the picture. I see Hello Kitty. That's all I see.
Right there.
Oh my God. What are you, Italian? What's that, a shrine over there? I see Jesus Christ over there. I see the Madonna.
I have so many pictures of him up right behind my bed. And I tell you no lie, every single day I've looked at him and told him, you have to come through. Because I know there's a lot of people on this right now.
But listen, here's what I need to let you know. Souls will come through when they need to. And the fact that you're going on your date tonight, and you needed that validation to be able to open your heart and to listen, we never move on. It's not about moving on or letting go. It's about letting go of the pain and the guilt that you feel. And this is his way of letting you know that he wants to wants you to move on from the day that he passed. He wants you to know that he's a changed man in heaven, that he's watching over you, that you're his top priority. And that more importantly, he says, you deserve somebody to love you because that's all you gave me when I was alive. He says, so I want you to promise me one thing. He says, I want you to promise me that what you show to other people is the same version of yourself that you showed me, because that's the person I fell in love with. He says, I don't want you to keep your walls up. He says, I don't want you to live your life guarded like I do. He says, like I did. He says, I want you to let your walls down, love with your whole heart and soul. He says, and do what's best for you, knowing that I'm there in spirit. Do you understand that?
Yes. So
listen, you go out on that date tonight, and you know that this is his way of letting you know that he loves you, he cares about you, and not to feel as though that you're doing an injustice by opening your heart up again. Because listen, we're meant to have different life partners here in this world. It's so important that you know that, because we only have one soulmate, okay? So meaning that, like, there was a woman, she was 80 years old, she came to me. This woman, she had, believe it or not, 4 husbands, okay? But when you die, you don't go with 4 husbands on the other side. You go back to your soulmate. And they were all married before too. So it just ended up where that she lost those 3 and they had lost or whatever. And heaven has a way of working itself out. So you're meant to have different life partners here in this world. And then on the other side is when we truly reconnect with our soulmate, whoever that may be. So don't feel guilty. He says, live your life and know that he's the one who's watching over you always and forever.
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I really hope that this helped you.
It did.
All right, I'm going to leave you with that.